So the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here, this is to a. I'm gonna catch flack for this from you, and I know it. How many more times are we gonna do this with Trevor Lawrence?
Oh,
And this is
yeah.
feeling like a lesser extent. This is feeling like the Daniel Jones New York Giants situation to a lesser extent. Uh,
Jesus,
but like how?
man.
But it was the same. How many more
Oh,
times are we gonna do with Daniel Jones? How many more times are we gonna do this with Trevor Lawrence? Like
oh my
nothing. But
gosh.
okay, what has changed with Trevor Lawrence over the last 3 years?
Okay, hang on. You're gonna frame this in a way that paints me in a box. We can't compare Trevor Lawrence to Daniel Jones because Trevor Lawrence came into the league infinitely more talented, and in year two of his career had an infinitely better season than Daniel Jones ever had in his time in New York. Daniel Jones got paid off of 1 year of QB run oriented offense that Brian Daboll schemed perfectly for him. And Trevor Lawrence is an actual quarterback.
But
Now,
Trevor Lawrence got paid off of one
I,
year
s-
too.
I
So
still, 2 years.
yeah,
I still only have Trevor Lawrence at 14 in my QB rankings that I just did on the podcast. So like, I'm not, I did put away the Trevor Lawrence top 10 quarterback thing a couple seasons ago. But Daniel Jones is just mean. That's just outright. You just wanted to get another dig in on the Giants on this
I
non-NFC East
mean
podcast.
maybe,
Uh, that was uncalled for.
but
Also,
but
Trevor
but
Lawrence way better hair.
okay,
Just
fair enough.
completely uncalled for.
Well, okay, you can't compare that when I mean Daniel Jones is literally like a step Manning brother. I mean you can't do that. I mean if we're being fair here, let's call fair. You can't compare the hair. All
Great
right.
jawline though. Great jawline
Yes, the
on
jawline's
Daniel
there. I
Jones.
mean, but my point is, when are we going to accept that Trevor Lawrence might be the problem? Like, is that ever going to become reality? Because in the reason I compared it to, it's like in New York, it's like, okay, we knew Daboll is a good offensive coach, that he should be able to get the mo most out of Daniel Jones. It's like, okay, at some point we had to accept that Daniel Jones was the problem, which we all kind of knew to begin with, but still, it's like when this is what his fourth head coach in Jacksonville, I
Third.
think.
Hmm.
So when are we going to, if it doesn't work this season, when are we going to acknowledge that he's the problem? That's ultimately the question here. Like, how many more times are we going to do this with him? That's
You
my question.
so if we're gonna use the coach thing,
Right.
how many coaches did Daniel Jones go through?
Um,
Two? Was
two or
two,
three.
right? Daboll was only the second. New
I
York,
don't honestly don't even
2019.
remember who was before Dable.
It was Shermer in
Yeah.
2019.
Oh no, and then it was
Oh no, Joe
Judge.
Judge.
Joe Judge. So yeah, it's
I
been
forgot about
man,
Joe
we
Judge.
all
That's
did. We
hilarious.
all did. So
That's
it's
the
been
funniest thing.
three head
Three, so
coaches.
so they both had three,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But can you compare anything that happened in New York with Daniel Jones to Urban Meyer in Jacksonville? Let's power rank. Here we go, baby. Here's our YouTube breakout. Let's power rank the six coaches that Lawrence and Jones had.
Same amount of playoff
We
wins.
knew we knew whatever our YouTube video was going to be. Shout out to everybody watching this on YouTube. It was going to be completely like useless information, but here we are. Um Urban Meyer's at the bottom of that list, right?
Right.
Joe Judge is probably next.
Yeah.
I don't remember a whole lot of Pat Shermer, to be completely honest with you.
But not good.
But but he would be next, right? He's
Yeah.
not he wasn't Joe Judge and he wasn't Urban Meyer, but he's probably
Right.
next. And then you're probably on, and obviously Liam Cohen is like a complete unknown at this point.
Yeah, you can't. No.
So like maybe we take him out of it. But Dayball would be at the top, and then Doug Peterson would be two, right? But I
Yeah.
think there's a big difference. Maybe there's not that big a difference between Urban Meyer and Joe Judge. It's just that Urban Meyer was mean. Um, all right. But anyways, so like Lawrence burns through that first coach because that's like clearly a toxic and horrible, terrible situation.
Right.
So like we almost have to get rid of that.
But you
And
got rid
then
of Shermer too first year in New
yeah, but
York.
again, was that was just like remnants of like we this guy was here when
Yeah.
Eli was here. and we moved on to Daniel Jones in Shermer's last year. So like as we move forward with this new quarterback, let's bring in a new coach. Those were two very different moving ons from quarterback. So I don't think burning through head coaches is necessarily what Lawrence has done. Daniel Jones, and again, I didn't really just discredit Daniel Jones either for that first coach moving on, but Trevor Lawrence has really only had one head coach. If you like, because he has no responsibility for Urban Meyer. And when you look at, so it's really just, is Trevor Lawrence the downfall of Doug Peterson? And I think even just going into last season, I think it was just clear that, yeah, like it wasn't gonna, for some reason, it wasn't clicking. But with Peterson, I always view that as a floor raiser, a stabilizer, like let's get our house back in order. I don't think anybody ever thought this was like this guy's gonna unlock the best of Trevor Lawrence and then oh he didn't do it, so who are we gonna blame? I think that was always just gonna be we just are getting the house back in order. And now Cohen is the guy to answer your actual question from 5 minutes ago. Cohen is the actual guy that we can measure this up against because I knew this was actually going to spark something, so I pulled this stat for you. So remember when the Bucks had Canales as OC in 03,
Hmm.
in 23, and Baker comes and it's the resurgence, and we're like, oh my gosh, like this Bucks team is going to like keep going, and Canales gets hired by the Panthers. They were actually only, where did this go? They were actually only 14th in EPA per play on offense that year with Dave Canales. And it was in the negative, whatever that's worth to you. Liam Cohen though comes in and they're fifth in EPA per play, and it's like it's like 10 points the other way. So I think so. What I'm saying by that is like I think Cohen is like a force multiplier for what he did for that Bucks team and what he can bring to Jacksonville, even more than what we were expecting of Canales. And we just kind of viewed them as similar situations and independently of each other. But when you really look at like overall what the offense did in Tampa in 23 and then overall what they did in 24, Cohen's offense actually worked out a lot better. And I think he's very suited to what Jacksonville needs right now. So I think this is going to be the measuring stick. I don't think Peterson was. I think Peterson was like, we need to save the franchise basically and not destroy Trevor Lawrence
Right.
um, by putting him in this David Carr situation. Uh, the Cohen is the one that we can actually measure like is Lawrence up to snuff or not for.
So I guess again, if it doesn't work out with Cohen, are we
Hmm.
ready to acknowledge that Lawrence is the problem? That was pretty much my question.
I know, but then you got to Daniel Jones, and then we're just
Because it's
off.
the same. It's like, okay,
It just threw
it's
us
coaching
off.
that's been the issue. So now it's
Um,
like, let's bring in a new coach, and then
if
he
it if
gets
it
it, and then he doesn't. So now
if
it's
it
the same
doesn't
thing
work,
with
can we
with
blame
Lawrence.
Lawrence? I mean, like it does depend on what happens. You know, if we see all of the same things from Lawrence that we had seen before, where it was he's either completely scared to push the ball down the field and he's checking down, or he's only throwing into extremely tight windows. Um, if we're seeing sprays where the ball like inaccurate deep balls for no reason, um, then yeah, he's just like not getting better, and he just is who he is. He's a guy that can has a good arm and has good mobility, and will sometimes hit high ceiling plays, and then will sometimes hit very very low floor plays. Um, if we get the same thing under Cohen for a year. But I think you're hoping again for that waterfall effect of what was the first thing Cohen did for the Bucks? Like he made that offensive line good, and then he made that run game good, and then that opened up things for Baker to do stuff. Lawrence needs somebody that's going to actually give him some answers, and not someone that's just like hoping Lawrence is going to show up with the answers himself. Um, And you add, we can get to the rest of the roster now, but like
Yeah,
Brian Thomas
yeah.
Jr. had an awesome season, and you
Hmm.
bring in a Travis Hunter, and you make some upgrades on that offensive line. Not enough in my opinion, but I think that's okay for now. You give him weapons that he hadn't had before, and yeah, I think we're gonna see that stuff be better because I think we're gonna see easier. parachute points and just like easier times where things are going to make more sense and be clearer for Lawrence as we go. And he's going to let those guys make plays, and that's going to be big.